Hey everyone, Tony D and Little Joan here with a hot take. And we're going to take a look at a video that's going around Twitter. AOC on increased crime. Okay? Now I know this is sort of unfair. Sort of like pushing around, someone much smaller than you intellectually, but I can't help myself.
I think there's something about this uptick in crime. Let me make something super clear for everyone here having this question.
My question is, why are you in a closet? Number one, but I guess that's where she lives, and she doesn't want anything in the background.
The New York City Police Department has not been defunded.
Has not been defunded because that's the way I talk with my voice going up. And even though I'm a grown up, I talk like this. I mean, you'd think she'd stop that. You'd think she'd put on the air of someone who was respectable, not a child. She sounds terrible. Just sounds terrible.
Um, Even with these budgetary changes that were proposed in City Council, A, they're not fully enacted. B, they aren't a real $1 billion in cuts. And C, it's not really, like these cuts aren't really real. And again, they haven't.
Like, it is true that the budget cuts haven't happened yet because they take a while. But the squad that De Blasio got rid of is you know out of business essentially, and those guys are being reassigned. So I mean, and there's lots of problems here. I think we all know what the problems are with New York City. Prior to the riots, there wasn't a lot of problems happening in New York City, except that the bail reform kind of F things up, right? I don't know if you remember the bail reform. That was a big news item in New York. And here's de Blasio uh, and the New York Police Department, but back before they had a break, they pointed to the state bail reform law as the reason for the February crime spike. This was back in February. Robbery up 32%. Assault up 9%. Burglary up 19%. Grand larceny up 23%. And grand larceny auto up 61%. That's all compared to 2019. That's a pretty big spike, AOC. Uh, these people weren't going broke because of the beer virus then. They weren't afraid to pay their rent then. We weren't looking at a great economic hit a year ago. So what the hell are you talking about?
Haven't even happened yet. Literally have not even happened yet. So keep in mind that this uptick in crime that's happening right now is with a $6 billion New York City Police Department
Yeah,
budget.
yeah, we get it.
So our
So wouldn't that suggest that you actually need more money in your police department, not less?
$6 billion up to 11 billion, but our $6 billion budget has not prevented this uptick in crime.
Yeah, we know. So why are you cutting the budget? Is the question. Why is the mayor allowing BLM riots and protests, but nothing else in his city? Why would he have that? If the beer virus is a danger, why have these protests at all? And his own daughter was arrested during one of them. You've had lawyers arrested during these riots. I think we know what the uptick in crime is in New York. It's the same for every major American city. It's these protests who have turned into riots, which has been sparked by trained Marxists. as BLM calls itself, and the Antifa idiots in the background of all this. But I don't hear you talking about Antifa. Oop.
We have funded more and more. We have shoved more and more and more money every single year into the NYPD. $6 billion.
Yeah, we got that. Jeez, this is just a short video. 2 minutes, she keeps repeating herself. $6 billion. We know. Maybe it's in part because the NYPD gets involved in international crime. They're involved in doing stuff with the CIA. It's ridiculous what they do. What they can't apparently do is respect people's privacy, and cutting their funding isn't exactly the answer right now, considering that you have riots on your hand.
And it has not prevented this uptick in crime. So why, but let's back up. Why is this
How many times you got to back up?
Uptick in crime happening? Let's really think about it.
You can tell the way she talks. It's like these are all stall tactics, right? Like, but why? But why? Let's think about it. But why? That's her trying to think of an answer. Oh, come on.
Well, this uptick in crime, the NYPD themselves have told a story that's disproven by their own data. At first, the NYPD, they went out and they said, okay, this uptick in crime is happening because of bail reform, because of all of these reforms that we had now. Wait, but they just released data a couple weeks ago that showed that out of almost all the people who have been found to have kind of committed crimes, etc., almost none have been re-released due to the bail reform. Like they're actually.
Well, that could be because the riots happened and that sort of changed everything. But the bail reform was definitely something that was happening prior to the riots. They had a spike in shooting, major crimes, and it was blamed on bail reform. Okay? And here's a guy who was arrested 119 times and he just kept going back on the streets. So obviously, I guess AOC is cool with that. Just keeps sending a guy out and he just keeps doing stuff. I guess as long as he doesn't murder anybody important, we're okay.
Crime data from the NYPD, not even independent.
Where's the link? Show me the link.
What they're saying. So
you
why
say
is this
that
uptick in crime happening? Well, let's think about it. Do we think this has to do with the?
In other words, follow my reasoning, because I'm not giving you any data. She hasn't provided a link. Where's the data?
The fact that there's record unemployment in the United States, right?
Yeah, record unemployment due to the virus, due to the fact that your mayor, or the NYC mayor, I should say, has shut down the city and won't open it up. And why is AOC even commenting? I guess because her district's in New York City, but you're not the mayor, AOC. You're supposed to represent the district on a national level.
Now, the fact that people are at a level of economic desperation that we have not seen since the Great Recession.
Does she mean Great Depression? Did she get that wrong?
Maybe this has to do with the fact that people aren't paying their rent and are scared to pay their rent.
Why would you be scared to pay your own rent? Seems to me that you either have the money to pay it so you can live in a place as horrible as New York City is now, or you can't pay it and you just don't pay it and you wait to be evicted, I guess, or look for some other place to live. I mean, I don't understand the term scared to pay your rent.
And so they go out and they need to feed their child and they don't have money. So you maybe have to, they're put in a position where they feel like they either need to shoplift some bread or go hungry that night.
Okay. Come on. Really? The guy arrested 119 times? You're going to say he needed bread to feed his family? First off, where are you getting bread? I mean, like, if you're going to steal some food, you're going to have to steal more than a loaf of bread, I think. You'd probably rather steal like a big package of chicken or something. Um, you know, and how does, the rioting fit into this? How does like throwing bricks through windows feed my family? How does lighting police cars feed my on fire feed my family? How does rioting feed the family? I think you're talking about a completely different kind of crime. How does shooting someone feed anyone?
Maybe it's the fact that unemployment provisions have not been given to everyone. Maybe it's because of the fact that some people still haven't gotten their stimulus checks yet. I think there's some.
Okay, first off, it's July. The stimulus checks went out in like April, May. It's like April, May, June, July. I mean, it was months ago. Many people have gotten them. And if New York hasn't gotten their unemployment together, whose fault is that? Whose fault? Could it be the Democrats that run New York City or the Democrats that run New York State? Or the Democrats that currently partly run the Congress? It's funny to watch someone like her criticize and never take responsibility for anything she's done. You know what would have helped lower the crime statistics in New York City? Jobs. People having jobs, and AOC helped block the Amazon headquarters move. She helped organize the protest and then denied she did it. And then was just like, oh, well, that would have been a big giveaway to Amazon. She doesn't even understand how taxes work. Maybe because she doesn't understand it, and she talks like this, and even though she went to college is worthless. Let's think about this. Back up. Let's think about this. This is just more of AOC. She has charisma. But she doesn't actually say anything. But people like her because, she's easy on the eyes, and she agrees with leftist positions, and she goes much further, right? She goes much further than the average Democrat. But this kind of grandstanding isn't going to buy her much of anything. I think there's going to be a lot of people that will pick this apart. I mean, it's boring to pick her apart because she doesn't really say anything. She's too busy trying to, grandstand. I don't know where her career goes. God forbid she gets reelected, but it looks like she's locked in the Congress like so many others in Congress. They just keep getting reelected. They did have a challenge to her, but it didn't go off very well. Who knows? Maybe her district will turn red. Wouldn't that be something? That would be an amazing moment if AOC lost it. That would be more amazing than if Trump lost. I don't think Trump's gonna lose, but oh man, it would be great to see her get beat by a Republican. It'd be so great, but unfortunately, you're talking about people who live. I think she represents part of the Bronx. I want to say Bronx or Brooklyn. It's definitely a B, and they just vote Democrat blindly. I think because they've been conditioned to hate Republicans, and they really do hate them.